Phyllis George, of course, Brent Musburger, Jimmy the Greek Snyder, the original, the NFL Today, was ahead of his time. Jimmy the Greek was their gambler. It was a good 30 for 30 on Jimmy the Greek. A really good one. I advise people to watch it. Jimmy the Greek 30 for 30 on his pregame show was really good. Irv Cross was also very, very good. Phyllis George, she was awesome. That music is all time. All time. Now,
it just reeks of the 1970s.
It does. It does. Here, let me just play it one more time. 1983. I needed some OG Niner fans to call me, even OG Niner fans or Lion fans. What do you remember about this?
You are looking live at Candlestick Park in the beautiful city by the bay, where today Joe Montana leads the 49ers on their first step toward regaining the Super Bowl title they won 2 years ago. But he'll have to do it without his favorite wide receiver, the injured Dwight Clark. For the Lions, Jerry Danielson gets his first start of the year. He replaces the injured Eric Hipple, who is lost because of a bad knee. Detroit coach Monty Clark certainly is no stranger to this city. He made his name here as a player and later as a coach. But today, the 49ers are guided by his close friend, Bill Walsh, who has designed an offense as elegant and sophisticated as the city itself.
Wow.
The Lions against the 49ers. The winner whistles on toward the Super Bowl, and for the loser, it's all lang syne. Coming up next, the NFL Today.
Oh, that's great. Go ahead, fade it down, Lovin. Elegant and sophisticated offense, just like the city itself. How good was Musburger right there?
No, that's prime and peak Brent Musburger. And I know we like to think about him more as a college guy in his later years. And then obviously he was the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders radio voice for a little bit. But that's just, it hits you in the feels, man.
It does.
It does. Like certain voices, Brent Musburger being one of them, John Madden, Summerall. And that's just synonymous with what the 49ers have done. Now it's, well, you got Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen this week. But for the longest time, it was Troy Aikman, Joe Buck. Like the Niners always are in these big games, no matter the era, Bonte, and it never gets old, no matter the voices.
Yeah.
Ever.
See that Candlestick Park? Candlestick Park was unbelievable. They had a real lion.
Why?
Lion on the field next to Sourdough Sam. You had that going on.
I'd be so freaked out if I was Sourdough Sam.
What he said,
that
Dwight
line
Clark
was so calm too. Like if you go and look at the video, like the lion's just like chilling there, like not like freaked out by the crowd noise or the giant, Sourdough Sam Minor right there. Like very, very well trained lion.
That's even scarier that it's
good
that
on for
calm,
them.
because it sees food in front
How
of
about this from the 209? And I believe him. 209. Hey, Bonte, Tony here at the 209. My wife and I were there in 1983. A gut-wrenching game, but victorious. It was our second year having season tickets. Still have them today. Looking forward to the victory on Sunday. Love your show. Wow. 1983 divisional round playoff game, Niners and Lions. And the Niners have beat the Lions 13 straight times at home. The history, I remember when Barry Sanders would come out here. One time they had a game at Candlestick Park. The Oakland Hills fires.
Oh, wow.
Took place. And that fall came over Candlestick Park. And the Niners, all the smoke. Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. I was in Daly City with a hard hitter, Kareem Mayfield.
That's crazy.
And Mo Bettichetta and LaRon Mayfield.
Yeah.
They were living in Daly City at the time. I remember being at their house for that game. I mean, there's no history, really. We're trying to drum it up. 1983, they met in the playoffs. Eddie Murray misses the kick. We'll play it again, but Gary Danielson threw 5 interceptions. So as we play those clips.
He's from Detroit, by the way. I didn't know that. I looked up, Gary Danielson, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan.
Right. So 5 interceptions. Joe Montana throws a pick and a touchdown pass. Throws for 201 yards. So maybe we are just a little too hard on Brock Purdy right now.
Just don't turn the ball over, Brock. That's basically the moral of the story here. Don't turn the ball over. Good things will happen if you're the 49ers. Feed the tote to Christian McCaffrey. Take care of the damn ball. You'll win this game.
Here we go. Eddie Murray. Probably going to hate us for this one.
With 1 minute and 23 seconds left, Candlestick rocked so hard that the park almost crumbled into the bay. But with 5 seconds left, you could almost hear the faint chirping of seagulls overhead, as thousands, along with Eddie Murray, watched the ball sail towards a set of lonely uprights 43 yards away. After nailing a 54-yarder earlier, Murray's 43-yard attempt fluttered wide. And along with it came a trip to RFK Stadium in the NFC Championship game for the ecstatic and quite fortunate San Francisco 49ers.
Harry Callis, NFL Fields,
So
and that
good.
music. By the way, Spadoni, we have somebody on the line right now who says they were at the 1983 game. Riff Raff in Daly City. Riff Raff, what's happening?
The rapper?
morning, gentlemen. Great show. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, Riff Raff. How you doing, man? So you were at that game in 1983.
I was actually at the Pontiac Silverdome for the first Super Bowl.
Wow.
That's a flex.
I'm 64. We had season tickets since the 70s. I remember when Monty Clark was actually the coach of the Niners when we had the original Gold Rush.
Yep. Former Niner coach, and he was there with Detroit. What do you remember about that game being at Candlestick Park?
Monty Clark's shameful display on the sideline right before the kick that was missed. He actually prayed.
No way.
He put his hands together. He prayed. Look it up.
Oh, my gosh.
I've never seen. He was a tough guy, too, but he's just like, oh, God.
and Eddie Murray misses the kick. He missed the kick. So let me ask you then. So let me ask you, Riff Raff, not to cut you off here. So did Brock Purdy's performance remind you of that Montana performance? Because we just looking at the box score. I'm going to go back and watch the entire game. I'm going to do that one of these days. The 1983 game, I'm going to go back and watch it. You know I will, Spinoni. Was Brock Purdy's performance, did it remind you of that performance by Joe Montana that day, the game you were at in 1983?
Yeah, we put Joe on a pedestal, but he was great. But people forget sometimes Joe got benched in the fizzle and the drizzle against the Vikings.
Yeah, 1987.
He was always good enough to win most of the time. And, yeah, you nailed it. Brock Purdy was Montana-esque. Not saying he's Joe, but he did what he had to do.
Wow. So you walked out of that game with a sigh of relief then, huh? Gary Danielson throwing 5 picks. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. Hipple was supposed to start that day. Billy Sims, I believe, was the running back. He was going nuts on the sidelines, knocking cups over, and yeah, I was 23 then.
Wow! What a memory, Riff Raff. I love that. Great call.
Yeah. Real quick. My family's from Detroit, so that's why we got to go to the game in the Silverdome. But rooting for the Niners.
There you go.
There it is. Families from Detroit. Wow, Riff Raff for Daly City. That's incredible. Billy Sims.
There's got to be so many people from Detroit specifically that are just not Lions fans because they were awful for so long. I think about certain franchises that adopt certain teams at the time. I think we've already had callers call in from Detroit earlier this season. They're like, you know what? I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a Niners fan because they've been so bad for so long. So it's actually refreshing probably within this next decade or so if the Lions stay good. That will actually, retain some of their fans.
Well, you know what? They're not a friend of the 49ers. Neil Rule. Neil Rule, of Woodward Sports. His show is called Big D Energy.
Oh, God.
Big D Energy, Woodward Sports. Here's Neil Rule. Says the Lions aren't a friend of the Niners.
But the reason I'm infinitely more confident with the Lions and the 49ers is you look at this Lions rush defense. And Tampa got a few plays, but again, under 100 yards rushing because that's where the Lions live. Everything that the Lions do well defensively, especially against the run. Now, granted, they're going to be going against the ultimate test in Christian McCaffrey, but I'm confident that they'll be able to put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands to determine the outcome of the game. And I'm comfortable with that, especially, and I know he got it done and everything like that at the end of that game, but they didn't look very good, man. They look beatable. Now, how much of it was rust from having the week off? I don't know, but they look beatable. I mean, I don't feel fear going up against them like maybe we would have in the past. I don't fear them. So let's go. And again,
that's Neil Rule, Woodward Sports, said that they don't fear the 49ers. Now, Dan Campbell's speaking at the podium right now out in Detroit, and he said this will be an outstanding test for us, but it's one we are ready for. So Detroit's coming in here full of confidence. You're going to have to beat them up early, hit them in the mouth early, start fast, and let them know this is different. This ain't the L.A. Rams. You're not back at Ford Field.
It's not Baker Mayfield.
It's not Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles. No, this is Shanahan. This is the 49er and the brand. And you're going to see those Super Bowl championships up there hanging on the press box to years and all the playoff appearances and all the title games and all the divisional titles. This is different. So Detroit doesn't fear us, but damn it, Spinoni, I don't fear them either.
No, the 49ers shouldn't fear anyone. Absolutely not. I mean, you just had your worst quarterback performance, I mean, for him, I mean, it's short, obviously, but it could not have gone worse for you at the quarterback position.
Right.
And you still found a way to win the game. Like, if you were going to lose, that was the recipe for a disaster for the 49ers last week. They could not have played worse on both sides of the ball, and they still won the game. I don't expect that to be the case this next week. You would hope that's not the case. You would hope that that was a wake-up call for them. Now, we'll wait and see with Deebo Samuel. But even without Deebo, Bonte, I still think you should win this game.
Brandon Ayuk should have a big game against the secondary.
The secondary is Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere.
Matt Stafford carved him up. Baker Mayfield carved him up. There's going to be opportunities deep and down the field. That's what I want to see. Can Brock Purdy take it? We heard from Jerry Rice. He would love to see Brandon Ayuk get some balls down the field.
That's a great
outside
point.
the numbers. I was telling, we were in our text thread, and I was saying, Spinoni, can they just throw the ball outside the numbers, please? It's wide open.
Well, you have Brandon Ayuk, and this is the thing. Like, we all look at all these other receivers. Brandon Ayuk was second-team All-Pro this year. He's one of the best receivers in the game. As much as we want to look at, the creme de la creme, whatever you want to say, the best of the best, the Tyreek Hills, Justin Jefferson's, all that. Brandon Ayuk is up amongst those guys.
Yep.
So without Deebo, yes, that hurts with many aspects of your game, but you have a number one stud here, both in the passing game, the route running, all of that. So Nacua had his way. Cooper Kupp had his way.
Mike Evans had
his way. Chris Godwin had some big. I'm looking at the tight end position. George Kittle, I'm looking at too to have a big game. Kyle Otten, who for the Tampa Bay this past week.
George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk alongside Brock Purdy, they're going to feast. Now, will Shanahan allow them to feast? Is Shanahan going to be in his bag? He needs to be in his bag against Eric Glenn and his defense.
And
with
by
John
the way,
Fox as a special advisor.
By the way, not to cut you off there, Bonte, look for some. Kirby Joseph has had 2 dirty hits this year, both to tight ends, and both have knocked him out for the season. Kirby Joseph is a defensive player, the secondary player for the Detroit Lions. Knocked TJ Hawkinson out for the year for the Vikings, and just the other week against Tyler Higbee for the Rams. I'm not saying they're a dirty team, Bonte, but those are 2 dirty hits.
They're a little reckless.
You cannot have medicine balls is what I'm saying.
They're a little reckless.
Don't throw the medicine balls like we got accustomed to a Jimmy Garoppolo. That's all I'm saying for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We don't need that.
Let's go to Tim at Fremont. Tim, what's happening? You're on a roast.
Reckless is a good word.
Tim, what's going on?
Timmy!
I'm going to talk more about the team stats as a whole as opposed to individuals. I know a lot of people have put emphasis on Brock Purdy being, the front of the 49ers for now. But, of course, he's got the team around him to support him. I do want to go over some season stats for the 49ers offense versus the Detroit defense. First of all, the thing that stands out to me the most, yards per play. The San Francisco 49ers are number 1 on offense yards per play at 6.6. And, with the Detroit defense allows 5.7. They're number 28 in the league for yards per play.
Not good.
Let's go points per play.
Yeah, but they're 23rd.
Points per play is 0.47, which is number 1 for the 49ers against the 27th ranked 0.38 for the Detroit Lions. And going down the list, the key will be to get up early, to score points often, and to not let up on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I'm looking at these numbers as well. And again, when it comes out to me, sure, there's yards per play, points given up per game. They've given up 23 points in back-to-back games. The Detroit Lions, they've bit, but they haven't broke in the red zone during this postseason. But if the Niners can start fast, and they didn't start fast last weekend, it could be Russ, it could be rain, whatever it is. You can wash it away. You moved, you won, you move on. You survive, and you advance. That's what it's all about. You're 1 game away from the Super Bowl. But if the Niners do get up ahead early in this football game, and I expect the Niners to start fast in this one, I really do. I'm expecting Brock Purdy to shut a lot of people up on that opening drive, in which the Niners were dominant all year long when it came to opening drives. I believe they scored in 12 of their games on opening drives, if I'm not mistaken. If you can make the Lions one-dimensional and put the ball in Jared Goff's hands, he will throw a couple up to the other team. There's no doubt. But I'm looking at him going one-dimensional because all of a sudden you take out their bread and butter, and that's the run game. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both nearly went. They almost went 1,000. Montgomery went over 1,000. Jahmyr Gibbs was just shy of 1,000 yards rushing as a rookie.
As a rookie.
So if you could take both those guys out of the game in terms of the run game. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, you got to pay attention to him running out of the backfield, running routes. That's going to be a problem. He is good in space. We know about his speed. But if you make him one-dimensional and Jared Goff is dropping back 50 times, 55 times, did I feel really good about where the Niners are at offensively. That means they're humming. That means they got out fast. That means they made Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, embedded a run game and say, you know what? We got to throw the ball all over the yard to try to get back into it, and that gives more opportunities for this defensive line to get after Jared Goff.
Let's say, and it's a great point, let's say both these teams do what they want to do. You just heard from our boy Woodward Sports. Is that what it was?
Yep.
They want to make each of these teams one-dimensional. You want to take the running game away from the 49ers and from the Lions. Let's say that happens for both sides, and it turns into a passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you trust more? I'm still going with Brock Purdy in that scenario. I am. Wow, you got to take a step.
No, I think it's even because both secondaries right now are struggling. Ambry Thomas just did not play well. It's just, I can't put it. We heard from Bonnie yesterday.
He didn't play well, but I think you could scheme around that more. I can't name one secondary player for the Lions that I actually have faith in.
Well,
we have Charvarius Ward here from a Niner fan, right?
I don't know, man.
All-pro.
I don't know. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown is a problem. Over 1,500 yards receiving, and he's a tough customer.
Okay.
All right? He's our guy who had over 100 yards, 100 receptions, and over 1,500 yards receiving. Jameson Williams is getting better and better as the season progresses.
No Hufanga does hurt a little bit right now.
Sam Laporta is a problem. He almost went 4,000 yards. He had 86 receptions as a tight end. They look for him all the time.
He's banged up.
He's banged up, but he's made some big-time plays.
You have Zach Ertz back there, too, as a number 2.
No doubt. And then you got Reynolds, who's playing well. He came over from L.A. with Jared Goff.
He slept on in this matchup.
He's a big-time receiver. Jared Goff loves this guy. So, they've got some fast dudes on this team. So the secondary, the passing games to me is going to even out. Both teams are going to be able to pass the ball in this game to me. Who's going to be able to run it? That's
going to come down to, we say it's a game of inches. I mean, and sometimes it comes down to that. 4th and 1, 4th and 2. I think there's going to be a couple of those scenarios in this game, whether it's early, whether it's late. Who's the more aggressive team when it matters most? We know that's been Detroit's MO. And if you could stuff them, does that change things? Does that start to creep in the back of their mind like, oh man, maybe this just isn't our day. Maybe it's just not going to happen because, and Bomani Jones, who has joined us earlier, in great interview, by the way, search 95.7 The Game on YouTube, find the entire interview, like, subscribe, all that. But Bomani Jones, what he loaded about Dan Campbell was, in that Dallas Cowboys game, he just kept going for it and going for it and going for it. Whether that was a smart move or not, you know what you're getting with him.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm getting with Shanahan this Sunday, Bonte. I don't know what I'm getting from him.
Yeah. Well,
am I going to get the calm and confident Shanahan that we've seen, the cocky, it can be arrogant at times in a good way that I love, right? Are we going to get that swaggy Shanahan, or are we going to get what we saw from last week?
I don't know, but I'm eager to see what we get from Lions fans.
Oh,
how many Lions fans are going to be traveling?
Great question.
Because there wasn't a lot of cheeseheads in the bleachers. Now there was a couple Go Pack goals. I don't know if you could hear it through the TV.
No, I did not hear it. Look at that.
Packer fans were a little arrogant. They were. But Carson Anderson on our sister station in Detroit, 97.1, they were talking about the fans traveling out here. Will we see a lot of Honolulu Blue in the bleachers at Levi Stadium? Honolulu Blue. You like
great,
that? Yeah. Here's Carson Anderson.
The more I think about this, and it sounds like you'll be with a lot of Lions fans, the more I think about what Vivid Seats is estimating that 20% of this stadium is going to be Lions fans, the more I really think that's incredible. This is the NFC title game. Now, given San Francisco's been to the last 2, they've probably got a good chunk of their fan base saying, I'll go to the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to this. I'll save it for the Super Bowl. And the novelty isn't there. The newness of it isn't there. But if the Lions fans really make up 20% of that stadium, we will notice them.
If they make up 20%,
20%'s a lot for an NFC title game.
I would be very disappointed in Niner Empire. Now, I know it's a lot of people selling their tickets. Because you could double up on them. 20% Lions fans would be embarrassing at Levi Stadium. I'm just going to say that. I traveled to Philadelphia last year. There weren't 20% Niner fans in Philadelphia. There was maybe about 7.
And you and Chasky were one of the percentages. Like, not a lot. I saw the group you guys came in with, obviously.
SoFi Stadium. We traveled down there. It was about 60% Niner fans for the NFC title game.
And that's to be expected.
We know Rudy in Riverside's the only Rams fan out there. So
Rudy in Riverside.
They're struggling. They're paying people to go to games.
He's quiet right now.
So if there's 20% Lion fans, that'll be very disappointing to me. I'm not going to lie.
I get it, though. And it the host was making a good point because of the newness of it all. Yeah. If it was the Cowboys, but even then, I'm trying to talk myself into it. It's the NFC Championship game. Come on, like what? You can't be and that's bad juju, by the way. If you are saying I'll go to the Super Bowl,
right?
I don't like that mindset at all.